I don't know how many of you are like me when it comes to buying suspension, but when it comes down to it, I just try to find the best bang for the buck, which means I'm trying to find the absolute best performing, longest lasting, highest quality suspension on the market for the cheapest price possible. But the questions remain. Is that even possible? And what exactly should we be looking for to determine if it's high quality? Well, my friends, let's find out. Here's one of the biggest challenges when trying to pick out the right suspension on our website. Regardless if you own a Jeep, Toyota, Chevy, Ram, Ford, Nissan, Subaru, or whatever it is that you drive, there are just too many different options for different prices. Now, naturally, the more expensive something is, the better performing and higher quality it is, right? Well, I would say in most cases that should be correct, but do you really need a $5,000 suspension kit for a daily driver that may see the dirt a half a dozen times a year? Probably not. That's a whole nother story for a dedicated rock crawler though. A dedicated rock crawling rig might have $5,000 just in shocks alone. So then, what should we be looking for in a suspension for the purposes that we're building our rig for? With suspension, in most cases, there is a give and a take to performance. If you're looking to keep it on the budget-friendly side of your build, then ride quality, articulation, and durability isn't gonna be as good as the kits that are gonna cost more, in most cases anyways. But if you are looking to keep it budget-friendly and still wanna maintain a good quality ride, then the shocks are gonna be the biggest thing to look for there. At the minimum, look for kits that come with monotube shocks, as they will give you a smoother ride and are much more resistant to shock fade due to cavitation compared to their lesser counterpart, the twin tube shock. Some budget-friendly kits will come with shock relocation brackets or hardware and will repurpose the factory shocks. If you can swing it, I would highly recommend ditching the factory shock absorbers and upgrading to a monotube shock, as most vehicles will come with the cheaper twin tube shock. Plus, if you're going to be replacing the factory shocks at some point anyways, might as well do it right away. Now, with that said, if your vehicle already has a newer brand name shock installed, like a Bilstein or Fox or something like that, then unless they're worn out, I would just keep running that until they are worn out to help keep the cost down. Other things to look for that will cost a bit more are kits that don't have any type of lift spacers for the coil springs, struts, or leaf springs. Reason being is that the suspension kits that come with coil springs or struts or leaf springs that are longer and match the size of your lift you're putting on instead of the spacers will be engineered specifically for your exact situation and will perform better than just throwing in a generic spacer that's not going to offer any kind of increase in performance. Well, except for ground clearance, of course. Factory coil and leaf spring rates are designed from the factory to work with your particular vehicle without any other suspension modifications, like a lift kit for example. And once you start changing the suspension's geometry and lift height, you start changing the handling characteristics of your vehicle, and spacers aren't going to compensate for that, whereas replacing your coil springs or leaf springs with ones that are designed to fit the intended lift of your vehicle are engineered to compensate for the new handling dynamics of your vehicle after it is lifted. This not only provides better on and off-road handling and performance, but will be safer as well. The only three exceptions to this would be, number one, you may be just adding a leveling kit. Number two, the spacers are under an inch thick. And number three, spacers just might be all you can afford for now. And it's not that running spacers are an absolute no-no, but try to avoid them if the budget allows for it. So we already know to look for kits that offer the upgraded monotube shocks. We know we should avoid coil and leaf spring spacers if possible. So then what else should we be looking for in a good quality kit to get the best bang for the buck? Well, a few more things. One of them being a kit that comes with at least a new front replacement heavy-duty track arm and heavy-duty adjustable track arm bracket, and if you can swing it, a kit that has both front and rear replacement track arm and adjustable track arm brackets. Under constant use or extreme loads while off-roading, track arm bushings and track arm brackets can become a weak point, and they'll either fail or eventually fail and are one of the leading causes to death wobble. Therefore, it's best just to upgrade them right away, since you'll be replacing a bunch of other components at the same time anyways. Also, make sure the kit comes with extended front and rear sway bar links, extended brake lines, along with brake line relocation brackets when applicable. The extended sway bar links will retain the factory location of the angle of the sway bars, and if you're going to be flexing out your suspension out on the trails, it's also important that you don't stretch out or even tear apart your brake lines because, well, you're going to need them to get off the trail or get back home. Also, with extended sway bar links and extended brake lines, look for suspension kits that have the extended bump stops as well. The extended bump stops will help keep your new, larger tires from getting stuffed too far up into your sheet metal, which is not only going to damage your sheet metal or fenders, but could potentially cut your tires wide open on the sheet metal sharp edges, and cutting a brand new tire, well, that's just no fun. So make sure the kit includes extended bump stops as well. Next on the list that is obviously going to continue to raise the cost, but offer better performance and durability is going to be replacement control arms. Whether they're replacement upper control arms or A-arms for independent suspension or lower and upper control arms for the solid axle rig. Control arms will adjust the suspension's geometry to adjust for the additional ride height with the new lift, but not only that, they'll offer more strength than the factory control arms and will be much more resistant to failure due to prolonged use and abuse off-road. Some control arms will also offer better flex joints to help aid in better off-road articulation and even less feedback from vibration into your vehicle, giving you a smoother ride. But again, the more extensive you go with your kit, the more parts that are going to be in it, the higher costs are going to be. But if you plan on really putting your rig to work, regardless if it's on the road or off the road or on the trails, then it's definitely worth it. Like I always say, plan for the worst and hope for the best. Build your rig for the unexpected, but also be realistic with what you really intend on doing with it. Unless you have bottomless pockets, of course, then, well, let me point you in the direction of some of our $10,000 to $12,000 kits. So guys, to sum it all up, when we're looking for the best quality of suspension for the best price for you and your particular situation, just take it in steps. Calculate what it is exactly that you want to spend on a lift or upgraded suspension, and then determine what you can all get included in that kit that fits in your budget. Try to stay away from any coil, leaf, or strut spacers if possible. Look for kits that include the upgraded monotube shocks, extended sway bar links, extended brake lines, and extended bump stops. Most kits will already include regular track bar relocation brackets, but if there's still room in the budget, look for the heavy-duty adjustable track arm brackets and heavy-duty track arms as well. Then, if there's still some money to spare, replace the control arms. At least the front and rear lowers on solid axle rigs and at least the uppers on independent suspension setups, but upper and lower control arms on the independent setups if possible. And if you guys are doing any more than what we've already gone through in today's video, well, then you've already committed to spending whatever amount it takes to build your rig so that it can tackle just about anything. And if you guys have any other suggestions as what you did to build your rig, definitely make sure and let us know. Or even if you guys have any questions about which suspension kit you should go with, make sure and let us know in the comments below. Don't forget that you can find all the different types of suspension options on our website at TrailBuilt Off-Road, and with several special financing plans available, it makes it just about affordable for anyone. Other than that, guys, we definitely appreciate all of you for watching and all of your support. I'm Josh from TrailBuilt, and we'll see you guys out on the trails.